West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. I'm one half of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, Machel St. Patrick Hewitt, and this is a little quick one. I need to stop saying that. I need to stop saying it's a quick one, but this is actually a quick one. Earlier today, the West Indies women made it into the T20 World Cup semi-finals, and that required an episode. I couldn't just let that pass. I couldn't go to my bed tonight and not address it. Like, some things are too important to address, you know. And I could have done it as a live show, but it was too short notice to set all of that up. So I just thought, before I go to bed tonight, it's like, let me just do a little quick video just hailing up the West Indies women. There's a notion in West Indies cricket that everything is down bad and down rotten and that we'll never see good days again. But we have to appreciate, and we have to learn to appreciate, the good times when they come. And make no mistake about it, I'm sure Shane, the head coach, I'm sure Hayley as the captain, and I'm sure the squad with her all believed that they had the ability to get to the semi-finals and potentially a final. I'm sure, because no sports team goes to an international competition just looking to make up the numbers. And the West Indies women would have known that if they play to their maximum and if they play to their absolute potential, that they had the talent in their squad to beat South Africa and beat England. Now, I'm not going to try and front. When they lost the first game to South Africa, they were caught cold. It was a subpar performance. I think they were restricted to 116. That was never going to be enough, and South Africa chased it down with all 10 wickets in hand. In some ways, that was almost the best thing. Well, it's not the best thing, but it almost felt like the best thing that could happen to the West Indies women, because the equation after that was pretty clear. You've got to beat Scotland, you've got to beat Bangladesh, and you've got to beat England. Lose, you go home. And sometimes for teams, you need that level of adversity and that level of kind of high-intensity cricket to kick you into gear. Now, we could have beaten South Africa and maybe let our standards drop versus Scotland, standards drop versus Bangladesh, and maybe not beat England at the end, and maybe found a way that we didn't qualify, and so on and so forth. But the reality of the matter is that, and let's call the facts, every single win since that South Africa defeat has been comprehensive. Does that mean that there haven't been some flaws in the performances? No, I'm not saying that. Like, there's been some bad fielding, there's been some dropped catches. So I'm not going to try and pretend like there aren't things to work on. But when you strip it down to its core, West Indies smashed Scotland. They smashed Bangladesh. And even more importantly, let's call it facts. They smashed England. Let's actually look at the results. Let's actually look at the scorecard, people. England were restricted to 141 for 7. West Indies chased that with 12 balls and 6 wickets remaining. That's not a close victory. That's a humbling. West Indies women humbled the number 2 side in the world. A side that I believe had won like 13 consecutive T20 internationals. A side that we hadn't beaten since 2018 in a T20 game. We humbled them. And this is why this episode had to be recorded, because we got to pump up our chests. And I can't find enough superlatives to describe the gravity and significance of that victory. And let's not get this twisted. When you compare what the resources that our women have to work with versus what the England women have to work with, we shouldn't even be on a level pegging playing field. And we made England look like they were some little any team. Yes, we were helped by, I think, England. It looked like England dropped about 1,000 catches. But you know what? As terrible as the dropped catches were by England, that was down to pressure. Hayley and Kishana put pressure on them. It was they played those tactics to perfection. They knew that 1-4-1 wasn't going to be easy to chase against the number 2 ranked side in the world. And Hayley and Kishana came out just all guns blazing. No kind of, let's just, keep our wickets in hand and assess where we're at by the 6 over mark. They played it as, let's try and put ourselves let's die on our sword, in essence. If we're going to lose, let's lose going for it. And if it comes off, England are going to be so under the pump and so under pressure that they're going to have to find some kind of magic balls or miracles to get themselves back into the game. And listen, by the end of the 6th over, I think West Indies were something like 69 for none or something like that. At the 10 over stage, I think they were like 100. No, at the 10 over stage, I think they were 89 for none. By the time Kishana fell after 12 overs, we were 102 for 1. So we were always in front of the game. England were always going to have to produce something brilliant to try and win that game. So the game was played to tactical perfection. Now, as I come to, like I say, this is just a little quick one. Sometimes you have to do these little quick reaction ones just to actually be happy. It's okay as West Indian fans to sometimes just be happy and say, you know what, this is why I still follow the team come what may. This is why I still rally come what may. This is why no matter what, they will see me rallying, right? Because when the good times come, they feel so special. And hear what? It feels even better when it's against England. It feels even better when it's England that we're defeating. For those who don't understand why, well, go learn your history. So anyways, one thing that I would say, and this is the one debatable topic that I'm sure people get in the comments below at. Before the tournament happened, I recorded like a preview of the West Indies' chances in the World Cup. And I'm not going to try and lie. I said in that preview that West Indies were the 3rd favourites in that group and that we would have to get out of the group, we'd have to hope that Hayley Matthews did something. Now, Kishana Joseph is to be absolutely applauded. 52 runs from 38 balls. They've promoted her into this almost like pinch hitting role at the top of the innings, and she's done really well with it, right? And let's not downplay the significance of that 50. That was her first ever 50 in international cricket in any format. She saved her best performance for the biggest crunch game we've had, right? She hit 52 from 38 balls at a strike rate of 137. And that did as much as what Hayley did and Deandra did to really put the game in our favour. But I do just want to point out, as much as Kishana was critical, and I've always said that the best thing that can happen is that as the standards of the other women kind of slowly but surely rise in the West Indies team, we have to hope that they're dragged along in Hayley's slipstream, dragged along in Deandra's slipstream, dragged along in Stefania Taylor's slipstream. And that's what we've seen evidence of in these last 3 games in the World Cup. But when push came to shove and we had to produce a performance that was like above the expectations, it was Hayley and Deandra that showed up as well. And that's the thing. We've got to keep it real. When Hayley's best performance of the World Cup thus far was in this game. 4 overs, 2 for 35, and 50 runs from 38 balls. Is it any surprise that when Hayley showed up, we produced our best and most critical performance of the World Cup so far? And that's not to take away from Deandra either, because obviously Deandra at the back end, when it was getting a bit dicey, I think it was like 30 off 30, and Deandra just did what she does, couple 4s, couple 6s, and it was pretty much inevitable after that. So Deandra with a 27 off 19. There's an amazing stat that Santoki retweeted. I think Matt Roller did it. Listen to this stat. No, sorry, it's not that one. Where's the stat that... It wasn't Matt Roller. Sorry, it was Mazer Arshad. Listen to this stat. Deandra Dottin has hit 6 sixes in the T20 World Cup so far. To put that into perspective, no team, apart from West Indies, has hit more than 3 sixes in the entire tournament. So let's not get this twisted. Just like I said before the tournament started, critical to how West Indies performed would be how Hayley Matthews performs, how Deandra Dottin performs, and how Stefani Taylor performs. Stefani wasn't there today, and Kishana Joseph stepped up to be that third player when it comes when it comes down to the bat. But players stood up when it mattered most, and we slayed England as a result. Do just want to shout out some of our other players though. Afi Fletcher, the veteran, 4 overs, 3 for 21. Economy 5.25, was critical up front when England were batting, just regularly just chipping away. Even Deandra bowled today, 3 overs, 1 for 16. Deandra was just in the zone. You could tell from the catch that got rid of Wyatt Hodge, the run out that got rid of Alice Capsey. She took another catch, I think. In fact, Deandra took 3 catches and affected 1 run out. When Deandra is in that zone, I don't think there's many better players in the world than her when she's in the zone. And you could see, like, Deandra doesn't even bowl as often anymore. But when Deandra's in that zone, you know that Deandra said to Hayley, give me the ball. I'm in the zone. 3 overs, 1 for 16. 5.33. So a lot of people will say that Kishana was player of the match, Hayley was player of the match. But when you really look at the numbers, Deandra Dottin, 3 catches, 1 run out, 1 wicket, and 27 off 19 to see us home at the back end. There's an argument to say that Deandra Dottin was the player of the match. Also, economic bowling from Chanel Henry, 2 overs, none for 14. Zayeda James, 2 overs, none for 10. Alira Lane, 3 overs, none for 23. So lots of people played their part in this, but the big performances were definitely Afi Fletcher, Hayley Matthews, Deandra Dottin, and Kishana Joseph. Listen, we go forward now to Friday. So the World Cup semi-finals is on Friday for us. The first semi-final is Australia versus South Africa. Obviously, everyone's expecting Australia to win the tournament. They're the number 1 team in the world. Everyone's expecting them to beat South Africa and probably win the whole thing. West Indies play New Zealand on the Friday. Everyone lock in. Everyone lock into that game. If you're a real West Indies fan, you're locking in. No excuses. Forget the fact the men's team are in Sri Lanka. We're not on that right now. It's West Indies women that we're focusing on. And yes, some of you will get in the comments and say, Mash, where's the video about our game in Sri Lanka? I didn't watch that. That wasn't important to me. Like, we have to get our priorities straight here. And the priority for me today was seeing our women battle in virtually what was a quarter-final knockout game to get into the World Cup semi-finals. And that was my sole focus. So, yeah, those who did content or followed closely that Sri Lanka game, I'll hold my hands up. I didn't pay any... I looked at the scorecard, didn't pay any real attention to it. I'll look back in for the final one, no doubt. But this video, unapologetically, is here to say, big up the West Indies women. We rally, we rally, we rally. Friday, we rally some more. I'll be Machel St. Patrick here at one half the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. As ever, if you want to follow the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, you can subscribe. Just put Caribbean Cricket Podcast into Google and subscribe to all our different handles. Obviously, all the audio platforms, Spotify, Apple, all of that. X and Instagram, just at Carib Cricket. Where else are we? Facebook, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. TikTok, at Carib Cricket. OnlyFans, all of that. But more importantly, of course, on YouTube, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. If you'd like to support the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, any little bit counts. People, I'm going to Antigua for the ODIs versus England for the men's team. That wasn't cheap. Hopefully I get to do some work whilst I'm out there. That would go some way to recouping the money I had to pay to get there. But if you'd like to support the Caribbean Cricket Podcast and make sure that we can continue doing the content so that I can buy the different kind of equipment that helps the content look better, particularly when I'm out in Antigua, you can go to www.patreon.com/Carib Cricket. Every little bit helps and counts. Listen, I'll be Machel St. Patrick here at one half the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Stay locked in. Far more content coming again later this week. Stay locked in, and I'll see you again very, very soon.
West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. West Indies Cricket.